to begin with the first presentation.
Yes.
1 moment, please.
1 moment, please.
Because we have technical. Questo è room B, no? Room
Sì.
B. We have
Don't
technical.
worry. Take your
We have
time, Miss Moschella.
problem.
Ma non si vede proprio?
No.
You can share screen and then choose entire screen. So you can use the full screen for your presentation.
We have a technical problem.
I'd like to ask Mrs. Russell Vanessa Gatto to help Mrs. Moschella if possible.
Yes, I'm here, and just we have a central problem because it doesn't stream the conference online. So I'm asking to the main general director of the technical assistance to give us help.
Thank you very much.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
Non va su YouTube, guarda. Cioè, capito, non si
Sì,
connette
sì,
proprio
sì, ho
a...
capito. Non è che c'è un problema, forse è questo, sì. No. No, è un problema centrale, è un problema della cosa della...
Quindi nessuna presentazione di tutte le stanze?
Sì,
Ok.
è un problema centrale di connessione, un attimo.
Tranquillo.
The link to the YouTube stream will be soon included in the program. Cioè, capito, non appare nella...
Ma in caso di presentazione possiamo fare lo stesso, possiamo fare su YouTube?
Sì, certo, però un attimo mi dà il via il ragazzo,
sì.
no? Glielo vado a dire.
Sì, tanto. Il responsabile. Però io volevo... Domenico. In un attimo. Cioè, se io voglio togliere la modalità relatore, mi fa... Ah no, ma lì...
No, qui è presentazione.
Ok. E loro... Che cosa vedrebbero secondo te quello?
No, questo, suppongo questo.
Ah, ok. Qua le faccio il pesca. Gesù.
Faccio foto col tuo telefono.
No, non mi fare foto, non voglio comprare. Voglio foto. Ma dove è il mio telefono? Ah. Gli occhiali.
No, io non vedo. Ah, sì. Prova a condividere, scusa.
Sì, ora qua.
Sì. Ma questa room mi sembra migliore a livello di strumenti.
Allora. Dunque. Cosa vedi?
Ora aspetta, c'è un ritardo di un minuto.
I think it's okay
We
now.
can see your slide. We can see your first slide. Maria Luisa.
Ok.
Okay, I think you can start.
You can start with Miss Moschella.
Try to go ahead along your presentation.
Modalità come?
Ok, ora c'è.
Com'è?
Aspetta un attimo, ancora non è poi.
1 minute.
Ma perché non avete provato prima?
No, è un problema generale, professore.
Ok.
Non fa in modalità, cioè non fa in modalità
È ancora
presentazione.
allentato, qua. È la stessa?
Sì, sì, sì,
Ok,
no, ma
allora
questo è
fai
staccato.
così. Vedi così adesso se va?
No, non sapevo.
Yes, you can start. We can see your slides. Maria Luisa, we can see your slide. You can, I think you can start.
Ok, fai così, non...
Ok, lo lascio così.
Sì. Ok.
Ok, thank you.
So if you are ready, Ms. Muscala,
Yes,
please.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm Maria Luisa Moscella, a PhD student from University Mediterranean of Reggio Calabria, and today I will present a study reviewing the HSR induced demand component. 1 minute, there is another problem. The slide non share in the... Excuse me.
Yes.
Yes.
Presentation. Yes. Doesn't work.
In the PC is going, but
Not in the screen.
non in the screen.
Oh, not shared in the screen.
Okay, can I have?
Yes.
Oh, I know why. It's the extended screen.
Okay.
Non ho capito.
C'è un problema allo schermo qui, professore.
Sì, ho capito, però prima della sessione si fanno delle
Non-
prove.
ma non dipende da noi, professore.
Ma non dipende da voi
Funzionava.
cosa?
Ma prima funzionavano.
Okay, go.
Ok, thank you.
And the second screen.
No,
It's necessary to put in the second screen.
no.
Va bene così, Domenico. Ok. Thank you. The motivation behind this research concern the sustainability goals contained in the Agenda 2030. In fact, high-speed rail emerged as an important component in sustainable mobility strategy, not only because it contributes to the reduction of environmental impact, but also for the promotion of social equality and the economic development of the area where the service is present. The second motivation is the assessment of the impact of HSR on travel demand. In particular, we are focusing on induced demand. The effect related to the presence of the HSR service can be classified into external impact and internal impact. The external impact regards socio-economic and environmental aspect. In particular, HSR improves accessibility, which is linked to social inclusion and spatial equity. Moreover, the significant reduction in travel time allows city to be connected faster than other transport modes, promoting connectivity between regions. HSR also promotes economic development by connecting the industrial area. With regard to on environmental aspect, HSR is more sustainable compared with aviation and car. The internal impacts concern the transport system, which are expressed in terms of level of demand, modal share, and change in transport accessibility. The aim of this research is to investigate the phenomenon of induced demand because it's not limited to new passengers who would not have traveled before, but also includes those who increase the frequency of their travel tends to improve the benefit of the HSR. And the second objective is to identify the proposed method, models and methodological gaps to evaluate travel-induced demand. In line with the objectives, the activities carried out in this work concern a review of the relevant scientific literature of the induced demand component with the classification of demand models proposed by the authors, and finally the classification of the variable used by the author to estimate induced demand. So in the next slide, we'll give a short introduction about the state of the art on demand models, and in particular to HSR induced demand component. Then the literature study will be introduced, discussed, and finally the calibrated attribute variable by the authors will be compared. Travel demand models may be classified into aggregate and disaggregate approach. And aggregate model may be divided into three categories: a statistical descriptive model, in which demand level is forecast from level of service socioeconomic variable; a time series model, in which demand models forecast from historical data; and finally partial model, which simulate one or more dimension trips. A disaggregated model simulates the choice process of the individual user. Partial model belong to this category, which can be specified with random utility model, quantum utility model, and feasibility model. The aim of HSR demand model is to estimate three demand components: demand diverted from other service or mode to HSR, and can be estimated with mode service choice model. Induced demand, which directly depend on the characteristic of the HSR service, or indirectly is modified by the traveler's mobility choice, and can be estimated with the generation distribution model. Finally, the economic-based demand growth, which is linked to the trend of the national and international economic system, can be estimated with the emission models. In this slide, I show you the papers reviewed in this work. 8 papers were selected in which the topic of induced demand was addressed, and the selected papers were analyzed according to 6 categories: the social context, like the country, the type of model, generation or distribution, the approach, statistical or probabilistic, and is shown the specification of the model, the presence of calibration, the presence of the parameters. As we can see, most of the models are of the generation type, and they are mostly statistical. The next slide will discuss the study collected in this literature review. In the first 2 articles, the model was not specified. In particular, Yao Morikawa developed an integrated model for intercity travel demand in Japan, and they calibrated a generation distribution model. The distribution model is a logic type and considers the level of survey characteristic and the level of survey and the characteristic of the city served by the HSR. The generation model considers the attribute of accessibility for the person in the area of the origin area, multiplied by the population and the working population in service sector. Measuring the accessibility makes the model sensitive to change in travel condition, allowing the elasticity of demand estimate. In the study of Ben-Akiv et al., a generation model is calibrated on the basis of was studied before and after the introduction of new HSR service in Naples-Rome corridor. And the importance of this article is the introduction of the definition of induced demand model, defined as the model which estimates the additional HSR demand due to the improvement of HSR level of service. In this study, Pagliara and Preston, in the study of Pagliara Preston, induced demand is investigated by applying a gravitation model, an aggregate model, which the aim of predicting the change in the number of trips before and after introduction of HSR in UK. In particular, were considered the several regional and London as the only destination. For the estimation of the demand were considered attributes of level of serving, characteristic of the area where the high-speed rail is located, like the presence of car parking. Cascetta e Coppola in this paper estimate the demand induced by the presence of HSR in Italy. In particular, a trip frequency model was applied with the aim of estimating the probability that a user makes a certain number of trips. The probability in the equation is estimated through a logic model with three alternatives: no trip, one trip per week, and more than one trip per week. The data were obtained from National Mobility, were conducted in 2012. Leng et al. Estimated the induced demand flow for each of the pair in entire Chinese HSR railway network using a trip generation forecast as a reference. The total induced demand is equal to total passenger demand, from which total economy based demand and total diverted demand are subtracted. And this in the Ren et al. In this paper analyzed the impact of a new HSR service in intercity travel behavior along the Changchun corridor. The result of this study showed that demand increased by 60% due to an increase of travel frequency. In order to estimate the induced demand, they induced demand generated by the presence of HSR, an order probability model was proposed by these authors. The data used for this analysis was obtained from a travel survey conducted in 2011. In the study conducted by Zeng et al., induced travel demand was analyzed in the context of a new mode in Dallas-St. Andreas corridor in Texas. The data were obtained through an online survey that include question socioeconomic factor, previous travel experience, and hypothetical parameters of new mode, and were analyzed using a econometric model. In particular, the authors selected a negative binomial panel data model. And an important element introduced in this paper is a possibility of calculating the induced demand in relation on all combination, travel time, and cost. The authors, Avocado et al., specify two aggregate model. Distribution generation model for Amsterdam-London relationship using a statistical descriptive approach. Of the two models, only the generation model was specified. For model estimation, they use data from aggregate database International Passenger Survey, and they estimated the distribution model by aggregate regression the difference between the model share air versus HSR according to difference between the attributes, while the generation model considers socioeconomic attribute for OD pair and level of service. In particular, the log sum is an inclusive utility which measures the aggregate utility provided by the travel alternative. Of the 8 studied reviewed, 5 contained the calibration parameters. On this slide and the next, I show you the classification of a variable used by the authors to estimate the generation distribution model demand. The proposed class concern the economy, the context of the economic context of the territory, the socioeconomic characteristic of the user, the level of service, and the purpose. The variable can be different structure, dummy variable, continuous variable, and discrete variable. From the comparison of the calibration, result reveal some common variable related to the socioeconomic characteristic of the transport user. In particular, the gender attribute, the gender variable in Cachette Coppola and Rain et al. Is specified as a dummy variable which is equal to 1 for male and 0 for female. And moreover, the result of the calibration show that the value of the parameter is positive in Cachette Coppola and negative in Rain et al. And this result suggests that in the same condition, in a Chinese context, being female is more likely to increase the frequency of travel. On the other hand, the comparison of the calibration result for the distribution model show that there is no correlation between the attributes considered in the two models. Finally, considering the benefit related to accessibility, greenhouse gas reduction, and economic development, the knowledge of the induced demand is crucial for the planning of HSR network. The analysis present in this work show that the induced demand has been poorly investigated. The reviews study lack of common methodology. Moreover, the comparison of the model result calibrated by a few authors revealed a discrepancy in the calibrated parameters. Among these, the gender parameters appear to be significant. Non va.
Che sei sulla tabella?
No, sì, va.
Sei sulla tabella, clicca un'altra cosa.
Ok. In conclusion, this literary review provides a solid basis for future development in the study of induced demand generated by HSR service, and future research could focus on filling the gap with the survey and subsequent analysis and modeling the induced demand. And in particular, the future study will concern the construction of aggregate model for estimated induced demand by the opening of HSR service in a development area, with an application to the Rome-Reggio Calabria relationship. Thanks for listening to me.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Moschella, for the excellent presentation. At this point, we have 3 minutes time for a couple of questions. Are there any questions from the audience? Any questions? Well, if it is not the case, I have one question for Ms. Moschella.
Okay.
We all know that one of the main problems in using these models is data availability. Have you any, idea how easy is to get all the data we need to run the models? This is my question.
To collect the study I presented, the article reviewed were selected through a cross search between keywords and reference of the same article covering the topic. Using the most common platform like Scopus.
If I'm Giuseppe Musolino, one co-author of the paper. If I can add something.
Yes, of course.
Good morning, Socrates.
Good morning.
Maria Luisa, no, the question, I think that the question of posed by Professor Bass was concerned the way how you could collect the data in order to run the model.
Yes, sorry.
You can talk about the planned survey, our planned survey.
Yes. So an RPSP survey is being planned, and in particular, question will be asked to user on future modal choice with different scenario regarding travel time and cost. And moreover, specific question change in travel frequency based on the frequency declared in the RP survey. So it's an ongoing.
Okay. Well, thank you both, Maria Luisa and Giuseppe. And thank you again, once again, for the excellent presentation and very good and very valuable work. Well, at this point, we can proceed to the next presentation. I kindly ask Domenico Sgro to take the floor and deliver the presentation.
Yes. One moment, please. Ma pure là. Yes.
Yes, we can see the first page.
One moment. Is on the first slide the presentation?
No, we can see the other slides, Domenico.
No.
Now we're in the introduction, slide 2. Now it's the first slide.
No. The same problem. Entire screen? Oh, I don't know. È brutto.
Okay, we can see your first slide, Domenico.
No, in the room, no. And this is a problem.
Ok. Cos'è?
Togli questo.
No, devi aprire il PowerPoint.
Questo qua.
No, Windows, devi fare Windows.
Questo c'è.
E non ti compare, allora prova a chiuderlo e a riaprirlo. No, quello. Aperto. Ok, prova ora. Ok. Però è in così. Lì non si vede.
No.
Non si vede.
How to
Devi
do
fare
that?
impostazioni.
One moment, please.
Impostazioni. Schermo, dov'è lo schermo?
System.
Ok.
Duplicate. Dov'è?
Forse devi fare schermo tu.
Extend, no. Duplicate.
Ok. Ok, ora si vede.
Do you see the screen?
Yes.
It's clear.
Oh, perfect. Hello everyone, I'm Domenico Sgro from the Mediterranean University of Reggio Calabria, and I'm glad to be here and to present you our work about the dynamic structure of fares in the context of high-speed rail services. So this work is based on the Sustainable Development Goals of the Agenda 2030, in particular on the Goal 9 and the Goal 13.
We see the first slide, Domenico.
We are on the second. No, ma qua è avanti.
Okay, now we see the introduction, the second slide.
Extend. Ma perché se ne va in extend? Change. Ok. It's on the second slide now.
Yes.
Yes, it's okay.
Okay. I'm just saying that this is a modeling tool oriented to the assessing of travel demand through the analysis of the dynamic structure of fares in the context of high-speed rail. And this activity was carried out through a first step. This is the literature review analysis, so this is the basis of this work.
Domenico, sorry, we are in the second slide now. We see the second slide.
And now?
Yeah, the first slide.
The presentation mode doesn't work. So, sì. Mamma mia.
Just a bit, but not on full screen.
Yeah, not full screen. I'm sorry about that. One moment, please. Keep changes. Okay. Do you see the slide 3?
Yes.
Yes, it's
I'm
okay.
sorry about this technical stuff. So, then after the existing research gaps individuation, we carried out the method specification, then applied in a pilot experimentation. So we can identify the fares as a level of service variable of both of the two main branches of the travel demand model, one and the disaggregated one. So the presentation is organized into four main sections. The first one is the literature review, and then the specification of the framework. So the specification of the method. Then
No advancement, Domenico. Sorry, but
ah dai, però. No, ma non è che non avanza, però. Duplicate. Stop sharing. Ma che... You can see the outline slide. You can see that.
No, sorry.
What the hell? It's duplicate.
Domenico, focus on the online one because that will stay online. We are just 3 people in the room. So. Too bad for us, but
What?
we stay online.
What you are
now
watching?
we see slide number 5.
Perfect. We stay on that.
Try to go ahead if the slide go ahead.
You see the literature review.
Yes. We can see that. Okay, number 6 now.
Yeah, it's okay. So the first section concerns the literature review. That is the basement of this work, because with that we can identify the lack of the literature, so where we have to work. This chart contains a sample of the papers that we check on the Scopus database, and was classified according to the year, to the mode of transport of the case study, the country, and another thing that is really important to our study, that is the orientation of the model of the case study, that may be classified into two main ways. So how they use the fair analysis. Okay, that is one is the company perspective, so the revenue management and seat allocation models, and the other one is the traveler's perspective, so the user behavior. And some other paper analyze just the fair estimation with the mathematical model. In this slide contains some chart about the data seen before. So this section contains the specification of the experimental method of the fair analysis. This is organized into three main steps. The objective step is preliminary to all the method because it's important the individuation of like I said, the objective of the analysis. In that case, is the observation and the estimation of the changes of the fares over time. Okay, on a specific relationship and on a specific country. Another objective is the analysis of the characteristic of this variation over time. And on the other end, the analysis of the services offered by the transport company. So the first step is the definition of analysis domain. And we can introduce the first two time variables. The first one is the T variable. That is the day of travel in a year. So when you want to travel. The second time variable is the P variable. That is the day or a period of ticket purchasing. So when you want to purchase the ticket, okay? And this is defined by a period because it's not available all the time, this ticket. So there is an initial P and a final P. The other two variables are the run. Why the run? Because in considering a day of travel and a sample of day of ticket purchasing, we may have several runs. So we may choose one run or more run to analyze. And then the basic variable, what we analyze today, is the J variable, the fare. That is in function, like I said, by the R, the T, and the P. So another stuff that we have to consider when we analyze the fares in this context is the strategies of company, so the pricing policy. Like I said, you can't purchase the ticket when you want. There is a certain period of availability. In particular, we consider the period near to the day of travel. In that period, this one, is possible to don't have the ticket is not available. And this depends on user choices or by pricing policy.
Domenico, sorry, we cannot see the next slide. We see the slide 11 now.
One moment. Che davvero, mamma mia. Now, are you seeing the slide 12?
Just a moment. No, I don't see the screen.
I can just...
Sorry. I see the number 12.
Number 12. Oh, well. We can go on if it's all okay. I asked to the chairman if you see the slide, Professor. So I have to continue. Sorry. And the second step is the observation. So the survey of the fair, but we have to introduce what is a fair, how is on what is based. The fair is in function of the run. So and another two variable that we introduce now, that is the quality of service. This is a fair matrix, an example of fair matrix when you are on the website of transport company and you.
Mr. Gross, sorry to interrupt you, but I cannot see your presentation on my screen.
I try to share again my screen.
Thank you.
Now what you're watching?
No, there's still the problem.
Sorry, but
we can follow your presentation by the room, by means of the room. The room screen.
If you put the camera on the front.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
The audience can see. You can see now something.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I can't see anything.
Socrates, go to the screen of
Yes.
the room.
Okay. Thanks, Giuseppe.
Perfect.
Okay, we can follow by the camera.
By the room.
Please, Domenico, go ahead.
Thank you.
sorry, but I see all the table, all the slide, how you are collected, how you are linked. Because I linked by JITS and is everything okay? All the slides is okay.
The problem is on YouTube, maybe.
No, but then I think that is a problem of YouTube because I see all the part of the presentation if you link by JITS.
It's a general problem of this place, maybe because in other rooms it is the same. So
okay, we can move on.
Thank you. Yeah, now it's good the full screen. Thank you.
Ma io JITS lo vedo bene, non ne ho perso niente.
So this is the fair matrix that you see every time you go on the website of the transport company. And the fares is integrated by other two stuffs that are the quality of services and the classes. The quality of services are other services like more spaces for the legs, a journal, a meal, and the classes determine the availability. For example, in some center countries, determines the availability, the last day of availability of the fares, and the possibility to change the day of travel and the name of the ticket. So these three elements determine the fare value. Okay. So the last part of the experimental method is the model estimation. So we can analyze the fares along two main directions. Okay, two main bidirectional direction that are the direction of the day speed, that is the x-axis, with a t-fixed. Okay, so every layer of this is a section of the other plan, right? And the green layer is the analysis along the t direction with the p fixed. So let's talk about the pilot experimentation. So the application of what we see by now. The definition of domain concerns the day of trip, that is the 3rd of September. So let me say something before this. This is just the analysis of just one run, one fare, and of 1 day of travel, but we conduct a big survey, several days of travel, all the mathematics that you saw before. So we are in the case of big data, but for reason of time, I present just one run and one fair, for example, for give you an example. So the day of ticket purchasing goes from the 26th of July to the 2nd of September, and the HSR companies are Trenitalia and Italo Nuovo Trasporto Vegeto Rail, and this is the relationship that is Rome-Milan, that is the main relationship of Italy because of the of flows that is really high. The airline company is the Ita Airways, but this is not analyzed in this presentation. Like I said before, I present to you just one run, one fare. This is the intersection of the two elements of before, and 1 day of travel. We considered the fare strategies of companies, in particular about the last days of unavailability. So the observation. This is an example of fare matrix. This is the individuation. Sorry, the individuation of the fare. In that case, by quality of service and classes. And so this is an example of the evolution of the fares of this fare, okay, over time. On each of this point, you are supposed to purchase the ticket. So, and this is the evolution over time. We also conduct some statistical analysis with the average value with these variance and minimum and maximum. Also during the weekend days and the work days, because the behavior of the user in terms of choices are totally different and averagely talking, and also the type of users averagely are different. This is the other analysis along the direction T with a P fixed. This is different than the evolution before. Okay, you remember this is this is the section of this day. Okay, this is the section of this day. So the chart before is perpendicular to this point. Okay, so we conduct for each of this day an analysis of okay, so this is a big data for all the runs, okay, for all the companies and for both of the mode of transport. Also in this case, we conduct a statistical analysis with the average, the minimum, and the maximum. And let's talk about the model estimation. This is just, in that case, a first order model, so a linear model. What we can say about that? This is the model estimation with a gradient method. So we can identify, we can identify two main regions. The first one, in which the evolution of fare is subhorizontal, not so much variations, but during last days, we have lots of variation with an higher gradient. Okay, in fact, the model calculates this 0.4 and 2, almost 2, totally different the behavior of the fare changes in the two regions. So also we can.
Questions grow. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. I go. So the other model calculated is on the other direction. So on the direction T. In that case, we have a totally horizontal model. In that case, this is a chart with the statistical result of the table saw before. As a conclusive remarks, what we can say after this work? We can say that we identify the literature trends, we identify the lack of literature, and we conduct an experimental method for the HSR dynamic fair analysis with the objective of structural individuation, but by the traveler's perspective, because the company perspective is totally different. Okay, so as possible future research direction is to contribute to this literature and to and the specification and calibration and validation of not two-order model, three-dimensional model, but multidimensional model. This is what we are working on now. Okay, we are on the case of multidimensional model. This is an example of what we are working on now. This is a three-dimensional model of fairs. In that case, we calibrate an hyperbolic model, three-dimensional. This is the bidimensional model, okay? And we saw before the monodimensional model. So for now, is all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the extremely interesting presentation, which is also very comprehensive, despite all the technical problems. I think it's an excellent piece of research. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Please.
From the audience. Is there anyone who would like to pose a question?
Yeah, a very quick one. Just for me to listen better. You have so many technical issues that I am not going to ask you about the pocket, So just can you explain just to me what run is in your model? You speak about run, but I am not specialist of the domain, so I didn't understand. Is it the length of the strip or
the run?
There's the run. It's one of the parameters.
The run is a level. If you imagine a clustering process, a tree, there is the basic level that is the fair that is contained into a run. A run is contained into a choice set of runs. Okay, all that runs are are about of the day of travel, of that day of travel. Okay. So,
yeah.
I show you one.
It's one possible.
We may have
that you analyze. It's what we focus on.
Yes, we can analyze all the runs. Okay.
Yeah.
All the fares are contained into this day of ticket purchasing related to this day of travel. Okay, but we have several days of travel, several days of ticket purchasing. You may purchase the ticket on this day, on this day, on this day, on this day. It is clear that mathematically the day of ticket purchasing have to be minus the day of travel. It's obvious. So into this day of ticket purchasing, about this day of travel, you may have a set, several runs. Okay, all these runs have this fair matrix. Okay, all these fair matrix have all the fares. Okay, now I propose just one fare of one run of one company of one mode of transport. Okay, but we are in the case of big data, so this is a massive analysis. Is a really big analysis. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Well, once again, I'd like to thank you very much.
Thank you.
We can now proceed to the third presentation. So I kindly ask Antonio Russo to join us and deliver his presentation.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Antonio, would you like to share screen?
Perfect.
Share your screen.
Do you see my presentation?
Yes.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. Other times. Do you see my presentation?
Yes, we can
Yes.
see
Okay.
the first slide. It's okay.
So, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Professor Basbas. I'm Antonio Russo, researcher from University of Core. I'm going to show this work about a preliminary and aggregate analysis about travel distance on intermodal corridors for development of the international freight trade in Southern European Union. Specifically, do you see my second slide?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the outline in general, we will present an introduction with the discussion of the aim of the work and the contextualization on strategic and long-term transport planning. Methodology, results, and conclusion will be second, third, and fourth section of the work. General terms, only to better contextualize, we generally refer to two sustainable development goals, Goal 9 and Goal 13, respectively, industry, innovation and infrastructure and climate action. Let's say how, even in the European Union context, in general terms, it is from the white paper of 2011, and even before that, there is the need to perform a modal shift towards railways from planes and from motorways as alternative choice for freight. Also, in general, the macro organization of the European Union in terms of railway corridors refer mainly to Trans-European Network on Transportation that was established in 2013 and represents a great step towards an integration of transportation systems in terms of infrastructural efforts, improvement of accessibility, and enhancing of competitiveness between member countries at national and international level. But specifically, the main topic is the aim, the main topic of the TEN-T network and of its 12 corridors is to integrate and coordinate efforts for infrastructural investment in infrastructural planning in Europe for those infrastructure that may refer to different countries or that are relevant to an international scale. On the other side, second elements that we want to recall, and that is main core element of this work, is the railway freight corridors. 11 corridors, 11 freight corridors, railway freight corridors in European Union and neighboring countries, established in 2010 with the aim to include improving connections between member countries and especially encouraging coordinations between authorities of member country and railway service managers. Main important aspect of the rail freight corridors is the need to establish a common authorities on an entire corridor. So with some advantages in terms of operational elements and obviously time elements. The most important aspect, the most important difference between rail freight corridors and the TEN-T network is that the first one do not have any elements to do with the strategic planning of new infrastructure that is a main topic of TEN-T network. On the other side, the RFC works only on the existing networks. The aim of the work is to compare the actual condition of rail freight corridors between Italy and Balkans Peninsula, so the two south and southeast peninsulas of Europe that may serve as a gateway from the Eastern world. So, in general terms, we refer in this work specifically to 4 corridors. The two main Italian corridors, the 2 main north to south Italian corridors, the ERP-C3 Scandinavian Mediterranean and the ERP-C5 Baltic Adriatic, and the 2 main Balkans corridors, the ERP-C7 Orient East Med and the ERP-C10 Alpine Western Balkans, that links southern Balkan Peninsula with Middle Europe. The obviously topic of this work is to understand what are the actual conditions of infrastructure between these 4 corridors, considering a common potential competition area of that may be served by both couple of corridors, by both peninsulas, that is located approximately in Central and Eastern Germany, Poland, Czechoslovakia, and Austria. So, for the modelization of the problem, we modeled the problem referring to classical graph theory, modeling a graph with n nodes and n links, characterized by a specific quantitative, each links characterized by specific quantitative elements, and with the performing of a Dijkstra algorithm for every times we need to calculate the paths between 2 points. So every path is considered as a shortest path evaluated with Dijkstra algorithm. The main steps are the characterization of networks in terms of origins, destinations, and links, the identification of shortest path that for specific case study related motivation are linked to specific links. So we do not study only sometimes shortest path, but often shortest path considering a specific intermediate stops. Evaluation of distances, considering the previously said measurement, quantitative measurement, and the comparison of distances at given interval delta. So 3 main steps: evaluation of distances from all the nodes with a node placed in Southern Balkans through ERP-C7 and ERP-C10. Evaluation of the distances of all the points on the network from a specific node in Southern Italy through ERP-C3 and ERP-C5. And finally, comparison between distances from Southern Balkans and Southern Italy. Specifically, some assumptions for the case study. We considered 2 points, 2 great portual cities in the southern part of the 2 peninsulas, respectively Gioia Tauro for Italy and Thessaloniki for Greece, and other elements for the modeling of the problem. We considered some specific point at the borders to properly model the existence of a path through a specific RFC corridors, specifically a path that has an intermediate stop in Brenner or was marked as Scandinavian Mediterranean, a path to Gioia Tauro. A path to Gioia Tauro marked as Baltic Adriatic, it is marked as Baltic Adriatic, it considers the border between Italy and Slovenia. Finally, for the paths from Thessaloniki, they are considered Western Balkans if they have an intermediate stop in the border between Bulgaria and Serbia. And finally, there is a path to Thessaloniki. The minimum distance is evaluated to Thessaloniki between Orient East Med if the intermediate stop was performed at the border between Bulgaria and Romania. Finally, a delta, a competition area of 150 kilometers is considered to evaluate the area that may be dominated by 1 corridor or another one only by operative elements. We are considering only distance as a first and preliminary assessment, but other factors may be impact. So this is the scheme of the area considered. We consider the quadrangle Hamburg, Berlin, Budapest, Munich as a reference area, and the 4 corridors considered are the Scandinavian Mediterranean, the Baltic Adriatic, or Western Balkans, and Orient East Med, with all elements from other corridors are considered to make the graph properly connected. So some elements from Rhine-Danube corridors, some elements from North Sea Baltic corridors, and so on. These are the best results, the results of the comparison between results for distances to Thessaloniki. Point in red, points are marked red if the border between, as we said, between Bulgaria and Serbia are an intermediate step, while they are white if they are in a competition area. As you can see, all the points from Sofia to Budapest are nearest to Thessaloniki through the Orient East Med corridors, while more or less all the points in central and western part of the study area are nearest to Thessaloniki through Western Balkans, with a great competition area placed in the axis from Budapest to Hamburg. This is this may lead to some interesting results that may be discussed in the discussion section of the work. For the comparison between the two Italian corridors, the situation is clearer somehow, because we have all the points to our north that are nearest to Gioia Tauro, considering the Brennero intermediate step, so the points on the Scandinavian Mediterranean corridors, while all the points in Balkans and other central and east countries will be marked as Scandinavian Mediterranean, as Baltic Adriatic. Also, finally, the competition between Greece and Italy is marked in this way. Points in Greece are point nearest to Thessaloniki are marked green, while in purple we have points nearest to Gioia Tauro. Essentially, even in this case, all the points from Berlin in the axis from Berlin to Salzburg are nearest to Thessaloniki through one of the two corridors, through one of the two Western Balkans corridors, while all the points on the Scandinavian Mediterranean axis essentially are nearest to Gioia Tauro. Some discussion about the results. In general terms, all the points on the Orient East Med between Budapest and Berlin, as we have said previously, are in the competition area. But so the distances to Thessaloniki from the two corridors is lower than 150 kilometers. So for this case, we considered the possibility to understand that even if they are in competition area, they are on the prosecution of a specific corridor, the Orient East Med, while all the other points, the points placed in the central part of the continent, are on the prosecution of on other corridors of the Western Balkans one. So even if some of the points are closer to Thessaloniki in the competition area or near or in the Western Balkans, between the Western Balkan countries, we have to consider that in this second condition there is the need to change a corridor, while on the Orient East Med corridors, the entire route may be done on one single corridor, so more properly online with the idea behind the Earth-Sea corridors. So while the Italian situation is more simple, and for this case, even if there are points nearest to one city more than the other one of the two cities considered, should consider that the two peninsulas have strongly different problems. So the Italian railway network is often subject to congestion, while on the other side, the Balkans Peninsula from Greece to north has various problems in terms of infrastructure. but for the developing of successive step, we worked only on distances, but other parameters may be done to properly construct a cost function, considering, for example, the number, I think about the number of corridors that were counted as elements, or, for example, the possibility to consider duration of stops at border or at particularly other nodes. And the other elements was obviously to involve demand components, while this work is essentially work about the supply elements. Finally, should not consider how impact Greek corridors may be other than being competitive for the relationship with Northern Europe, may be related also to Eastern world through the international rail freight corridors by international rail freight corridors with China by east. So thank you for the attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Russo. It is a very excellent presentation with valuable results. So it's time for questions. Are there any questions? Any questions? Well, although I'm a co-author of this paper, I would like to ask a question to Antonio. Do you think that this research can offer, let's say, a tool to the people who decide to formulate policies at a European level? And how can this, how someone can actually take advantage of this work to policy recommendations?
I think that the idea is that the study of percurrents may be a useful tool to individuate suggestion at a policymaker level in European Union, not only at level of RFC corridors, but even at level of TEN-T corridors. Because of the need, we have seen how impact coming back to the example of Western Balkan corridors, you can see that even if distances are lower, you have to change authorities. So maybe a study of this kind may suggest some intervention. In this specific case, I will think about, okay, but why should end Western Balkan corridors in Salzburg, for example, while you can reach Berlin or Hamburg in even less time. But I think that this is a great topic in the actual state of the European Union, and I think that the direction is that of integrate more and more corridors inside one authority, so slowly going into a reduction of this kind of problem that we highlighted in this work.
Well, thank you once again, Dr. Russo. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Basbas.
So now we can move on to the fourth presentation. I kindly ask Mrs. Panuccio to take the floor and deliver her presentation. Yes, we can see.
Okay.
It's okay.
Good morning.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good morning. I am Paola Panuccio, and the title of my presentation is State of the Art of Sustainable Development of Railway Nodes, the High-Speed Railway. The outline are one, the high-speed rail is a new and important mode of transport. 2 case studies were analyzed to understand the effects that HSR causes on the territory. The first case is the station Mediopadana in Reggio Emilia. The second case is the station Napoli-Afragola. The stations of the HSR are designed by Archistar, who imprint a significant formal mark on the territory. For the analysis of these two projects concludes with consideration regarding the opportunity of an integrated smart planning between urban planning and transport, together in the smart planning process. These two case studies were chosen because they are two modern stations, both designed by Archistar, but located in socially and economically different areas. In fact, the first station is in northern Italy, in the region with the highest gross domestic product. The second is in southern Italy, in the region with low GDP. In Italy, the territory is planned throughout restrictive plans. In recent years, important projects with strong transformative impact have been induced by superior choices. As a result, territories are forced to change quickly and don't follow the indication programmed by urban plans. The top-down choice imposes irreversible transformation decided by directive international but not planned by local urban planning. The inclusion of a new mega infrastructure determines a new territorial identity. The high-speed rail line, which connects cities with the rest of the country, represents a substantial change with significant implication for the evolution of cities and for increasing social and economic development. The location of the station is the further input for the growth of territorial dynamics. The territorial will take on a new meaning both in form and in function, completely dependent on the choice of location. This is very important for the plan. The station, intended as a hub, becomes a node of interest, especially for regional and national firms. The convergence of multiple transport is the added value. In many cases, the station takes on the additional role of being the place of new urban functions. This new concept of station, urban function, supports the concept that the station must be designed with the function of node and place. This is the multi-scale dimensions, which requires the integration between urban planning and transport choices. The location of the HSR station is important, and it makes a difference to the host territory. The construction of a new station, if planned, will promote local economic growth. It can be said that the success or failure of investment on the HSR line depends on city-region nation integration and station-city dynamics. Transport network increase connectivity, stimulate economic growth, and reshape the geographical distribution of economic activity inside and outside the cities. The construction of stations have significant impacts on the cities to which it is easily and quickly connected. It's necessary to integrate urban planning choice with those of transport infrastructures in an ordinary integrated urban plan. A comprehensive and integrated plan benefit innovations and the transformation of cities into smart cities and the sustainable development of territories. Okay, now we present the case study. The first is the Medio Padana station, was designed by the architect Calatrava. It is an impressive architecture scene that testifies to its special function. The station is a steel structure, 418 meter long and 20 meter height about. The structure has a futuristic design and the image is similar to a moving wave. The Medio Padana area is an urban network, densely urbanized and economically very important. The cities it connects, Parma, Modena, Mantova, Cremona, are among the richest in Italy. The station has transformed the Medio Padana area into a functional region. It has transformed the territory and has assigned a new regional identity. The strategic plan connects local resources and implements service and function. It's the perspective of the new urban plan. The presence of a parallel motorway is an attractive factor. Growth is strongest when the motorway is connected to the high-speed station. Integrated transport connection is considered to be the priority. The intervention following top-down has been integrated into the territory. Indeed, it has become an opportunity for development. Placing a mega infrastructure in an economical advanced area has activated the process of integral development, increasing the territorial resource as well as the typical potential of the territory. This case demonstrates the effectiveness of an integrated urban planning process. The Napoli-Afragola station was designed by the architect Hadid. It is a strong territorial landmark, and the central part of the station is characterized by the large sinuous bridge, about 400 meters long, and this bridge crosses the tracks with an average height of about 9 meters, and it is organized on 4 levels. The station has a potentially large catchment area, a gateway between Europe and the South. The station is surrounded by an area with low economic income, with obvious urban and social problems. A territory with considerable development potential appears unusable because, in reality, it is not connected. The main causes of the nothingness around are the economic and social difficulties of area, the lack of an integrated plan, missing connections, incomplete motorway junction, insufficient public road transport. The station is unable to give the right impetus to the surrounding area. At the moment, the station is served only by local public transport with 7 bus lines, waiting to complete the Cancello variante and the interconnection with the Napoli-Baiano of the Circumvesuviana line, the Metropolitan Railway Network. The station is not integrated with the surrounding area. It has not become a functional site. It remained a top-down, isolated decisions, devoid of productive relations and interconnections with the gravitation territory. Okay. Conclusion. Territorial dynamics are sets of interconnected processes which generate new identities, drawn from the constitutive characteristic of sites, landscape, historical and cultural resources, and housing habits. HSR is the indispensable connection for innovation and development of the national territory and local systems. From the comparison between Medio Padana in Reggio Emilia and Napoli Afragola, it's possible to understand what determines the positive attractiveness of a mega infrastructure. The location of the HSR is a factor of activation of the true urban regeneration and integrated development of the territory if the characterizing systems are interconnected, there are functional connections to business centers, strategic centers, universities, or other gravitation nodes. The station, if included in a strategic integrated urban plan, stimulates local economic growth. The new conceptual approach integrates urban planning choice with the transport infrastructure system.
Ingo, heck.
It pushes towards technological innovation and transforms territories into smart urban regeneration intervention with an integrated vision of the future and with the smart city categories achieve the sustainable development objective. The determining factors for the success of the choice of station location are height accessibility, intermodal node, ability to trigger new functions, supply of services and activities in the neighboring urban system. A further implementing factor of positive attractiveness is the presence of territory available to increase the urban regeneration process. Territorial deficit can be resolved with urban rebalancing action by smart planning process. And finally, this is the landscape that can be seen from the train Frecciarossa, Napoli Afragola. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Panuccio. A very impressive presentation. Congratulations.
Thanks.
I think it's a valuable work for city planners, for people working in decision making and decision taking as far as the urban space is concerned. Are there any questions? Okay, I only have one question. What about the cost of such projects? How important is the cost when we consider the contribution of high-speed rail nodes in sustainable development?
The cost is very important, and the realization is possible to the different implication of the Ferrovia dello Stato and Ministero dei Trasporti, but the impacts of the territory if is included in a strategic plan, it can reduce the negative effect and compense with new offer. I think this is a general question.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we can move on to the last presentation of today's session. I'd like to ask Dr. Rindone.
Yes. Do you
Do you see my screen?
Yes, we can see slide one, correct?
The slide
Yes.
is on. The slide
Yes,
is on.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good morning. I am Corrado Rindone from University of Reggio Calabria. I developed with this work with Antonio Russo from University of Enrico. And we study a network analysis approach for measuring the performance of HSR services in the south of Italy. The context of this research is the Agenda 2030, and in particular some specific development goals, the 9 in relation to the role of the infrastructure to support economic development and with accessibility. The SDG 11 in relation to the role of public transport at the national level in our case, and the SDG 30 in relation to the climatic change. In particular, by focusing on the SDG 9, it is necessary to underline the role of transport in order to allowing people and jobs to reach and to perform their daily activities and contribute to the ordinary activities, economic activities. At the European level, the transport services are a very relevant role in the cohesion, but there is no uniform distribution of high-speed rail in all Europe. There are, in fact, some areas, some regions of Europe, and in some cases, for instance, in Italy, that the availability of services, in particular high-speed rail services, are not uniform in all countries of Europe and in the same country, for instance, in Italy. Then, in fact, there are some in the same report of the Cohesion Europe. There are some accessibility indicators for measuring this the current situation in terms of cohesion, and in particular, in order to measure the role of railway infrastructure and services to reach a great number of destinations or accessible destinations. Then another element to recall, it is important to recall the different roles of HS services that are in some cases in the exclusive exploitation, the model 1, but in other cases there are mixed configuration between high-speed rail and conventional and high-speed trains that move in conventional tracks. Then, in this context, our research questions are two. The first is related to the measurement of availability of HSR services with synthetical indicators. The second is related to have to reach a sort of spread at the subnational level in order to measure some difference in between different countries or in the same country. Then, in line with these objectives, the section of this presentation has are four. After the introduction, we present our methodology, then an application of this methodology in a specific case study, and then we close this presentation with some discussion and final remarks. The methodology has 3 main steps. The first step is related to the collection of data about railway infrastructure and services, and in particular, in order to realize a sort of database of the services in the study area. Then these data are prepared in order to realize a sort of input to the third step that consists in a network analysis approach that allow us to obtain some synthetical indicators in order to reach our research objectives. In the first step, we discretized our study area in different zones, and in each zones, for instance, the regions of a country. In each region, it's possible to individuate the station where it's possible to use an HSR services. Then for each zone, it's possible to have to collect a set of socio-demographic attributes and a set of mobility-related attributes. Then it is important to measure to collect the services that connect to 2 or more stations, and then the zones. And for this reason, in the second step, we prepare the data, we elaborate or reorganize the data in order to individuate the routes of the possible services in the study area that cover the stations, and then that connect different regions. Then starting from for instance, the timetables of each services, is possible to have the connection from the station based, the connection of station based to the zone based. Then, with this information, it's possible to apply the network analysis in order to combine the performance measure that are connected to the performance of HR services, and compare this availability of each HR services with the socio-economic variables, in order to compare if there is a sort of correlation or the availability of services are justified by the socioeconomic indicators. For this reason, it is necessary to apply a network analysis approach, starting from the construction of an adjacent matrix that measure that is the input of all network analysis, and in each element of this matrix there is a number 1 if there is a connection between 2 different regions, or 0 otherwise. Then, starting from this matrix, it's possible to introduce and to measure 3 different indicators that are known in the sector of network analysis. The first indicator that is the total degree centrality, measure the number of connections starting from a node. Then this is a measure of each node that in our case are the region of a national countries, for instance. But in this case, we measure only the possibility to connect to have a direct connection between to a couple of regions. In the second indicator, that is strength centrality, we measure the quantity of connection that, in our case, are for instance, the quantity of HR services that connect to different regions. The third indicator, that is agent vector centrality, measure the role of each node within the network. It is possible to have a sort of ranking between the different. Then the set of these three indicators can be compared with the socioeconomic characteristics of the study area. This methodology we try to apply in the south of Italy. And then we consider all HR hybrid services in the Italian region, but in the specific that connect to different regions operated with the services operated from by the two operators in Italy, Trenitalia and TV. And for this reason, we consider all connection starting from the region in the south of Italy. Then also with this mobility services indicator, we consider the mobility related attributes in relation to, for instance, kilometers of infrastructure per region, and the socioeconomic, socio-demographic attributes in relation to gross domestic product and population. Then, starting from the all network in HR infrastructure and services, we consider only the connection between the region in the south with the other region in Italy. For this, starting from this database, we construct the three indicators, the strength centrality and the other two indicators for each region, in order to compare the different availability of in the station in the south of Italy. This is a focus for instance, for the region of Campania and Basilicata, and it is possible to see that the Napoli Centrale and Napoli Afragola represent the most important railway station in the south of Italy, because this is a sort of door to other part of Italy, Napoli, Afragola, and Centrale. But it is important to note that the pure high-speed railway services, starting from Salerno, and then it is our analysis confirmed that the relevant role of these stations. In the case of Apulia, it's possible to see that there are different role of this station, but it is necessary to see that the quantity of the three indicators are a lower value respect to Campania, for instance, because there are a low connections between Puglia and Calabria, and for this reason the number that the network analysis allow to obtain are lower than the Campania. Finally, it's possible to see the role of each stations in the Calabria regions, and it is necessary to underline that these connections are related to the Mediterranean axis, and in particular, in the current situation, the Calabria and Reggio Calabria with Napoli and Rome. Now, in this slide, we present the great number of the three indicators that are connected to the Rome, Napoli, and Salerno. These indicators are compared with the socioeconomic attributes, and it is necessary to see that there is a sort of disequilibrium between the strength centrality and population. In fact, this show the need to connect the Calabria with the other part of Italy with a new project in order to realize a new infrastructure, for instance, with the large paradigm that connect that to realize the new line Salerno Reggio Calabria in an ICCSA context. Another important results is the relevant difference and spread of HR services between Italian regions. In fact, despite the presence of hybrid services, these services not compensate the lack of poor high-speed infrastructure in the southern of Italy. The first consideration is not there is no possibility to connect the Tyrrhenian and Adriatic directions, and the Taranto represent the only nodes connected with Naples and Bari. It is important to see and to underline the role of Villa San Giovanni, despite the physical discontinuity with the Sicily region. And then for this, it is important to underline the market, the potential market for HSR infrastructure and services represented by the Sicily regions. Finally, it is necessary to underline the lack of HS services connecting the territories of southern of Italy, the disconnection with the island region, excluding the Sardinia, the Sicily region remain completely disconnected from the rest of Italy, also in relation to the hybrid services. And then there is another final result is the lack of railway network hierarchy. In the future, considering the limits of these works in terms of data or in terms of the necessity to consider intermodality or other railway services, for instance, other conventional services like intercity, it is necessary in the future to develop other indicators for evaluating HS options for the south of Italy and the new project, the new current project for the line Salerno Reggio Calabria. Then it is necessary to start from network analysis indicator to measure, for instance, the other sustainability component, and to extend the analysis to the other part of Italy and to other European territories. This work was carried out within the MOST, that is a project that the University of Reggio Calabria are developing with this national project. Thank you for your attention.
Well, thank you very much, Corrado, for your excellent presentation. I think that your work is characterized by a robust methodology, a holistic approach, and a very insightful findings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Socrates.
I think we have time for one question. Are there any questions? Just one, please. Giuseppe.
Yes, Socrates. I would like to make two main consideration, if possible, in just 1 minute. The first one, firstly, I would like to stress that the four presentation of Maria Luisa Moschella, Domenico Sgro, Antonio Corrado Rindone, Paola Paluccio are parts of a great research project that that is carried out in Italy, where the University of Reggio Calabria is involved, concerning the development of sustainable corridor in Italy, with a focus on the south of Italy. So the research lines concern both the supply side, the analysis and the evaluation of the supply, and the analysis of the demand in terms of freight and passengers. So we saw some of these in this presentation. We saw some of these research. The project involves other research presented also in this conference. So we are in an intermediate stage of the project, where it is we plan also some experimentation in terms of surveys on demand and other things in order to arrive to the final result. This is the first comment. The second one is that I saw that also the group of the Greek group of Socrates, you are also working on the railway corridor, and I think there is a room for cooperation, because there are many overlapping teams that could be carried out with our two research groups. I don't know if you agree, Socrates. This was a good occasion to see some of our works that we are carrying out in our teams, and I think in the next future we could arrange also a meeting to better specify our works and to identify the common research lines. Okay, and then my last word goes to Domenico Sgro and Maria Luisa Moschella, because they managed to perform a good presentation instead of all the every kind of technical problems. Thank you to the chairman and to the participants. I'm very satisfied of this session. Thank you again.
Thank you, Giuseppe. Thank you for the concluding remarks. I fully agree with you. It's an opportunity for all of us to cooperate and to continue this excellent work you did in Italy. and I'm grateful for this. At this point, I'd like to thank all the speakers for the high quality presentation, and of course the audience for the contribution and the participation in this event. I wish you a pleasant afternoon. Enjoy the rest of the conference. And I'll give the floor to my friend Tiziana Cambisi to continue. Thank you once again for everything. Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Socrates.
Bye. Bye to all. Bye, Socrates.
Bye.
Always.
Thanks.
Okay, you can speak. You can speak now.
Yeah, but I think things are all well said now. I don't think I have to worry about much things here because I'm not presenting. I'm just sharing the session.
And
So-
you have to stay here to management from here.
Okay, so they can share the screen from their side. I don't think I have to do anything from here.
Domenico, per favore, aiutami.
Is the guy online there? Hi, Giulio, do you hear me?
Ok.
Giulio Biondi, do you hear us? Are you there?
Yeah, we can hear you, sir. We can.
Okay. We
No, but not him.
yeah. The Mr. Chairman is waiting for the assistant, that is Giulio Biondi. So when he is ready, he need to talk with the chairman. No, è online, quindi deve vedere. E che so io, boh.
The technical system, how to be online. You should be present.
This isn't on us, honestly.
But do you know him by any chance?
No, I don't know him. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
For the participants online,
Before
there is no problem.
This session is virtual. The participants are virtual.
Yeah, all are virtual.
All virtual.
There is no problem.
Okay.
There is problem before for the participant in presence.
Okay.
Probably you can start. I mean, I don't know, but
Yeah.
if the participants are all virtual, you have no problems.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll wait for a while. Because
Yeah.
See if there are
Okay.
some more participants.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
There is the next session ready? Yes?
Yeah,
Next session, right?
this is the session, right?
At the beginning at 4.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Do you know where is the technical assistant, Giulio Biondi?
No, what is the problem?
He is not here. That's the problem.
No, I don't know what is it. But if you need help,
And I mean, like, I can see he's online here, but I'm
yes.
he doesn't respond.
Okay, what is the problem?
No, I'm saying, because I may need some assistance. I'm not sure how and when, but
Yes.
he should be around here, right?
Yes.
That's the idea. Yeah.
Yes. So I will send a message to you.
Okay. Okay.
Julia?
Hey, Julio, do you hear me? All right, let's, hi, virtual participants. Let's wait for a while. Waiting for a few assistants to arrive here. And then we're also expecting few participants to join in person. So I'm waiting for a few minutes here, okay? Julio, I'm the chair of the session here. Can you talk to me? I can see your message around, but they're disappearing. Okay.
Hello?
Right. Hello?
Hello? Here I am now. Giulio Biondi, technical assistant for your session.
Okay, so I cannot really hear you well. Your voice is cutting through.
Oh. I will report the problem.
It's all right. Okay, just stay around. Giulio, right? Giulio. So
Yeah.
if I need assistance, I'll be seeking help from you. And thank you for your presence.
Yeah, sure. If you have problems in hearing me because of the audio, you can text me, and meanwhile, I signal the problem.
Okay, sure.
Hopefully, they're going to check.
Sure.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm doing session from Hanoi, Vietnam. And I know you guys are from far away from Vietnam in different places, like Morocco, Italy, and other countries. And very welcome to the session, which is last session of the day today. In fact, the entire conference today. So I'm very happy to have you all here in this session. So we have 4 presentations with very interesting thoughts and ideas and scholarly outcomes that we're expecting throughout this process. Just a norm for our reminder is that even though we have 20 minutes for each presentation, try to cut it through by 18 minutes. So we have at least 2 to 4 minutes for question and all those comments that could be accommodated within that time. I believe this is a session which are all virtual, meaning all our participants are virtually attending. So in that sense, it's quite interesting to have some questions, comments that possibly coming from you as well. So I wouldn't delay much. So I should be able to start very soon. Before that, do you hear me guys well online?
Yes, Professor, we hear you well.
We hear
Very
you
good.
clearly.
Thank you very much. So I can see my colleague Celestine is there already. I can see Dr. Leila Kautar is there, and so is our colleague Giulio. Right, I would like to invite Ms. Kautar for her paper, PhD paper, which is very interesting. It's about territorial dynamics and community resilience, transient housing in post-earthquake in Al Haus rural regions in Morocco. So Kautar, please, floor is yours. Please take it. All right.
Thank you, Professor. I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, share. Okay. So can you see the screen?
Yes, very well, actually.
Okay, it's full screen.
Yes.
Okay, so good morning, everyone, or good afternoon for you in Vietnam. My name is Kautar Amini Alawi. I'm an architect, planner, and currently a PhD student at the School of Architectural Planning and Design at Mohammed VI Polytechnic here in Ben Guerir, Morocco. So as part of my research on rural settlement planning and territorial dynamics, today I will present a section of my work going through transient housing in post-earthquake. So actually, the interplay between strategic planning and cultural preservation becomes apparent as we explore transient habitations, a critical aspect of post-disaster or post-earthquake recovery. Often, these habitations are deftly adapted to align with communities' lifestyle and cultural preferences, thus integrating the post-seismic fabric of rural life. Despite the clear need to understand these dynamics, research remains scant, particularly on the adaptive territorial dynamic of transient housing, especially here in Morocco. Prior studies globally emphasize the importance of understanding the behaviors of locals and their governments during post-disaster reconstruction. By using agent-based simulation, we can develop more effective strategies for future disaster recovery and responses. Moreover, engaging rural inhabitants in placemaking and identifying their urgent need are crucial for long-term recovery and sustainable development. This approach not only improves housing and communities, but also supports the social and economic recovery of rural areas. Nevertheless, research gaps include the need to investigate adaptive strategies used by these communities in response to seismic difficulty through a spatial planning lens on houses units, their clusters infrastructure, and community preparedness. So, following the presented outlines, our study came to shed light on the relevancy of local know-how and of vulnerable rural communities that have their genius load sheet to urgently solve consequences post-natural catastrophes. Our objectives are twofold. First, to understand the changing spatial layout of settlements in post-disaster scenarios, focusing on community-driven adaptations and the role of cultural practices in spatial organization. And second, to offer practical insights for researchers, planners, and stakeholders engaging with strategic emergency planning for enhanced post-disaster resilience. With our objectives in mind, let's move on how we have collected and analyzed the data and information to achieve these goals. After a systematic review about emergency housing and temporary houses internationally, then in Morocco specifically, we employed a field-oriented descriptive analytical approach focusing on two categories of rural settlements. Through spatial analysis interviews with locals and fieldwork, we illustrate an understanding of transient housing pattern evolution by unit and then by clusters. Despite some limitations appear, including a lack of detailed historical records and challenges in tracking the changes to plot and building typologies before the disaster. So, following September 2023 earthquake that happened in Morocco, this study focuses on the rural communities that were most impacted, especially in Al Haus region in the south of Marrakesh. We selected four representative villages, Esni and Tlatni Yaqub, as central communal centers, and Tafghart and Tizi Wadou as peripheral villages, using sampling to capture a diverse perspective on the earthquake's effects. These villages, differing in geography and size, offer a comprehensive view to transient housing initiatives and community adaptability in the aftermath of the disaster. Through the study, we found that while tents provided immediate relief and privacy, their uniform design often fell short in harsh environment conditions and did not really meet the longer-term spatial needs of the residents. Local communities, however, proactively modified and rearranged these tents, using their understanding of the landscape and daily routines to create more suitable living conditions. They adjusted tents placement to maximize shade and airflow and expanded living areas to accommodate multi-generational living, reflecting their cultural preferences and practices. This adaptation highlights the need for flexibility and cultural sensitivity in designing transient housing solutions. The shift from isolated tents to more integrated communal clusters represent a significant evolution in transient housing. Rectilinear clusters, often found in areas permitting systematic planning, maximized efficiency and facilitated resource distribution. In contrast, organic layout adapted to invent areas and residents' daily activities, preserving rural life risks. These adaptable clusters not only meet practical needs, but fostered community resilience and social interaction. Our research reveals housing responses in Morocco's Al Haus region post earthquake. Satellite imagery highlighted the extent of damage and emergence of new communal areas, demonstrating a resilient and adaptive approach to post disaster housing. Central villages like Esni and Tlatni Yaqub to the left Organized structured clusters akin to Japanese disaster management, optimizing resource sharing. These setups offer more structured and planned community interaction, yet not very adaptable one. While peripheral villages to the right, such as Tafakhart and Tizi Ouzou, maintain dispersed housing, similar to Nepal, preserving agricultural livelihood. They adapted to topography and maintained their daily organizational lifestyle and had more freedom in implementation and localization. Our survey revealed resilient communities with an average household size of 5.4, favoring quick assembly thermally comfortable materials from governments and local sources. Despite limited resources, there was strong communal support and shared problem solving. Communities showed resilience by modifying local materials for quick assembly. This approach contrasted with global practices recommending the use of containers, but highlight the inner solution thinking, potential, and need for sustainable, adaptable transient housing. Moroccan communities' proactive modification underscore the importance of strategies planning rooted in community collaboration specifically. This dynamic process of adaptation and resilience ensures sustainable growth and preparedness for any future disaster in case. Overall, Morocco's earthquake recovery intertwines cultural resilience with environmental strategies and social unity. Strategic planning here is not just about rebuilding, but cultivating a culture of resilience and sustainable development. Local adaptations highlight the need for flexible, accessible, and sustainable solutions. Even though centralized or peripheral areas are showing different paths and approaches, this proactive strategy ensures communities grow sustainably and remain prepared for any future disaster. To wrap things up, transient housing in rural Morocco used for the last earthquake highlights remarkable community resilience and adaptability. Either central or peripheral villages, as I said, showed unique responses, reflecting cultural and geographical realities. The comparison with international examples underscored the importance of balancing immediate needs with long-term sustainability and cultural integrity. So our findings emphasize the need for strategic, context-specific emergency planning and community-driven solutions, contributing valuable insights to the global discourse in post-disaster recovery. It mainly opened the research about rural strategic planning generally, lacking of documentation, yet very, very rich of opportunities to explore toward dynamic territories and resilience community. And to conclude, as we continue to witness the transformation of our territories, rural settlement movements are really essential to embrace integrated planning and community involvement to preserve the unique characters of these evolving landscapes, but also to enhance our territories' sustainability.
Great. Thank you, Kautar. Wonderful presentation on time. I mean, actually, it took shorter time than what you have given. So very good. It's very insightful, very interesting study, and also very interesting finding as well. So I would like to give the floor to the audiences. If you have any questions, comments for Kautar. All right. I have a few things to share with you, Kautar. Again, it's a very interesting study, especially about post-earthquake event and how we understand the resiliency through community perspective. So, as you mentioned, that there were a case of shared local resources, meaning the people were sharing the resources, whatever they had in their community. Do you understand this as part of social capital, which has been there for like long time in their communities? And how do you see that social capital kind of linked to building resiliency within the community?
Sure. Thank you for your comments, Professor. Actually, yes, it's a characteristic that I think people all over the world, but specifically people here in rural areas, are used to manage their additional construction of, or if I can say, the maintenance of their construction in rural areas by themselves. So they kind of have already developed this kind of solutions. And I want to share it in this picture that we see, for example, to the left, that it was taken after the earthquake. This category of structure made by kind of bamboo, Moroccan bamboo, it is very, very used in gardens or in open spaces, in rural and also in urban areas. So they kind of have already developed this kind of methodologies that they used back with the available materials. And this also showed their resilience, the inner resilience of these communities, social resilience, and infrastructure one that they already have, but they kind of maintain and developed to use in this critical period. And as we see now, after around 1 year after the earthquake, really populations showed a lot of resilience and manifestations. If now they already started reconstruction, but this helped to go through the difficult periods during this year.
Absolutely, very well thought out, Kautar. And I'd like to mention here, because when you have community engagement and culture is there, for which is kind of long decades kind of culture, and that really very helpful to understand how they can quickly recover from a shock like earthquake, and then this is how they can building resilience towards the future. And definitely it's interesting more because this is a context of Morocco, which is a very unique context in terms of geography versus touristic spot and all those. So in that sense, it shows us so many lessons that you can learn from, that how resilience could be achieved. Only maybe one of the strength point could be community engagement and people there, how the agents of changes in bringing changes for society and also into the building process of planning. Thank you, Kautar, for your really wonderful presentation. It's quite insightful, and at the same time, it gives us a lot more thoughts to think through for future time. With that, I'll be moving on to our next presenter. The paper is about, it's called The Landscape from Architecture to City, Strategies and Methods to Regenerate Through Design. So we have a couple of co-authors, Alessandro Rasso, Celestina Fezia, my colleague here, Maurizio Otto, Antonella Versasi, and Clara Stella Vicari Aversa. So I'll give the floor to my colleague Celestina for presentation. Please go ahead. Celestina, sorry, I think you are muted. Could you please unmute yourself? Sorry, we don't hear you, Celestina. Could you unmute the mic? If you look at the down center part.
Celestina, could you please unmute your microphone? I'm not sure she can hear us.
Celestina, do you hear us? Yes, exactly. So here, if you please unmute.
Okay.
Yes.
Good morning, everybody. I greet and thank the organizers of ICCSA 2024 in Vietnam and Professor Naidoo-Saman. We will present abstract from the research alternating with the colleagues. Thank you.
The contribution intends to propose an innovative and transdisciplinary approach to restore centrally to the landscape in the process of urban regeneration. The landscape systems have a potential that has yet to be developed, especially in the phase of ecological transition affecting cities. The point of view needs to be reversed to understand what actions need to be taken to recover the fragment of the landscape within cities, to propose activities and projects also in water edge and buffer zones by graduating the possibilities of use and protection. The essay will illustrate some virtual example of Italian and international case studies on the methodology of knowledge, design, planning, restoration of the urban and rural landscape. So this is the aim of our contribution, to propose new methods at the various scales of the projects. Maybe rural architecture, landscape restoration, and dynamics management of its transformation. Landscape as an element of architectural design, landscape planning, for the valorization of the landscape by encouraging renaturalization and promoting forms of rewards for the sustainable use and protection of landscapes in their various articulations. In Italy, for example, the debate between conservation and transformation in the context of sustainability has long focused on the preserving landscapes, cultural areas, and historic central through various protecting regimes. And with most Italy's municipal territory completing agricultural land and forest, the need to balance conservation with the necessary transformation is becoming increasingly apart. As cities and territorial context participated in the ecological transition, the concept of urban resilience takes on multiple means, emphasizing the capacity to adapt to new challenges while aligning with the recommendation of Agenda 2030. So the rural landscape in areas like Enna in Sicily seamlessly integrates with the urban context, blurring between architecture and nature. The different forms of agriculture, such as vineyard and olive groves, contribute to the distinctive character of the landscape, offering development potential linked to tourism, agriculture, and crafts. Also, the agrarian landscape in Sicily is undergoing transformation and expansion, driven by process of productive rationalization and cultural reconversions. The interplay between architecture, agriculture, and landscape in rural centers reflects a profound historical continuity and stratification of land use. This rural settlement exhibits an unique physical and formal structuring, with building typology closely intertwined with the products transformation and conservation activity. Another way, the aesthetic filter of the rural landscape and the reforestation process significantly contribute the overall quality of the landscape, explicitly in municipalities like Taormina, Leonforte, and Ortigia. These areas showcase the integral relationship between human activity, historical heritage, and natural environments, underscoring the importance of sustainable research, utilization, and cultural valorization. So in an example for Enna, Leonforte, so different also the city in Sicily. The Sicilian landscape has undergone significant transformation due to the technological innovation in agriculture, leading to the loss of its historical agricultural charter. Landscape plays a crucial role in architectural design and urban planning, serves as a valuable research that requires continuous care and attention. The quality of the landscape and the open space is essential for ecological transition and sustainable development. Coastal cities face unique challenges and opportunities due to their proximity to water. Urban and landscape rehabilitation projects in coastal cities must consider the presence of water as both an asset and a potential complication. For example, climate change future accentuates the complexity of coastal city design, requiring innovative solutions to address the impact of storms and erosion on coastal infrastructure. The transformation and loss of the historical agricultural landscape in Sicily to industrial policies, technological innovation in agriculture, and the abandonment of the traditional practices are also highlights. This work emphasizes the need to coordinate the efforts to protect and revitalize rural cultural heritage and landscapes, which can contribute to economic, social, and cultural improvement. The initiative promoted by the European Union and regional police demonstrate recognition of the importance of rural landscape, but there is a lack of global operation coordinator. In conclusion, the text emphasizes the importance of reminding coastal urban spaces to be more sustainable and environmentally friendly by dismantling contract structure, renaturalizing coastal areas, and focusing on regenerating landscape. Coastal sites can create more attractive and release environments for both residents and tourists. So we thank you for your attention, and we'll finish the presentation.
Great, thank you very much. Very brief and focused presentation, really interesting. So before I move on to the questions and comments, so am I being loud here? Just give me a second. Yeah. So I mean, before I go back to the questions and comments part, I think the study is really important by the fact that if you look at landscape, which is heavily influenced by the natural settings, coastal regions, and that has a lot more influence onto the culture, meaning how do they live their livelihoods, understand the values of those landscape, and that has also been shaping, on the part of cultural values and so on. So it's a triangular relationship which is very critical, and that what do you call it, connections should be really intact, should be understood well before any planning, any landscape planning could be endeavored towards resiliency achievement. So thank you for the nice presentation. So I'll leave the floor to the audiences if you have any questions, comments for the presenter. All right, if not, then I thank you once again to the presenter and Celestine as well. I'll move on to the next presenter. And Dr. Leila is going to present along with the co-author, Professor Hassan Radouin, and also Professor Sanjay already. And the title will be Post-Disaster Analysis using GIS and a Composite Index to assess the vulnerability of human settlements, earthquake of Al-Haus in Morocco. So once again, Dr. Leila, I'll give you the floor to you. So you have 20 minutes to run through, and you can take your time for presentation. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Professor. Can you hear me now?
Yes, very loud and clear. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So their audience, their organizing committee.
Sorry, Dr. Leila, could you kindly make it full screen? It will be very.
Yeah, is it full screen? I will try. No,
if you press F5, then it will be full screen, right? Yeah.
Is it working now?
Yes, perfect.
Thank you so much. So their audience, their organizing committee, I'm Leila Al-Khusbani from School of Architecture, Planning and Design from Morocco, and I'm very pleased to present the work of our team entitled Post-Disaster Analysis using GIS and the Composite Index to assess the vulnerability of human settlements, earthquake of Al-Haus, Morocco. First of all, I would like to start by outlining the background and the motivation behind this work. It's about the strongest earthquake ever recorded in Morocco's history, the Al-Haus earthquake, and my colleague Kauchar addresses the topic, with different aspects. As we say, that this earthquake was recorded with a magnitude of 6.8 Richter scale on September 8, 2023. The epicenter was located in the high Atlas mountain region. And in addition to its steep topography, this landlocked condition, and the region's socioeconomic structure, which is very insecure, the occurrence of a shock raises the question about the type of vulnerability that will be challenged. In this sense, we were led to ask first those concepts about vulnerability, urban resilience, and post-disaster analysis. So, urban resilience refers to this ability of an urban system, both urban or territory, or rural system, to rapidly return to desired functions after a disturbance. And natural disasters, such as this earthquake, are considered as disturbance, and it's worthwhile to study the situation of the territory before and after. And understanding also the socio-economic losses is of foremost importance, because now we are addressing the thematic of post-disaster analysis. To do so, we outlined for this paper two main objectives. The first one is how can we use satellite imagery, GIS, so we can be able to visualize and calculate also the extent of damage, both for building, for infrastructure, and for people there. The second objective is about modeling a composite index to assess vulnerability of the affected populations. About the study site is the disaster zone following the earthquake that struck Morocco on September 8, 2023. And it's a conglomeration of different communes belonging to different provinces. All of these communes are located in the southeast of Morocco, in the center of Morocco. So here we can see that the Al-Haus earthquake, as I said, the strongest ever recorded in Morocco, took place in an area that had been classified as presenting not a very big seismic risk, but just a moderate seismic risk. And this event is therefore calling for revision this map and the seismic map to consider this, this zone, this area as a high risk zone. So here in this map, we have the epicenter and seismic intensity distribution of all the communes affected. So how we use data to achieve the objectives we designed for this study. We start by studying before and after effects, and we used open access Maxar satellite images available on this website, maxar.com, and we had these resolutions, good resolutions, down to 30 centimeter, and a large, widely available temporal coverage. As we discussed two aspects, the before-after earthquake and the vulnerability, the second part about vulnerability, we used data from the government institutions that produced the national census in Morocco. And here we were able to extract a range of information. We classified them in three aspects: the demographic aspects, the socio-economic aspects, and infrastructure aspects. And for every aspect, we had 5-6 data related to activity rate, poverty, illiteracy, population, and density. About results, we had, 3 different results according to our objectives. So at first, we start by analyzing all this visualization of the post-disaster when you used data from maxar.com. And here we combined high-resolution satellite imageries and artificial intelligence. So we were able to assess all the damage caused to buildings. And when you say buildings, it's also people living there. And footprints here in the left, we can see it before and after the earthquake, and we superimposed the post-earthquake images. So these approaches enables precise identifications of destroyed, of damaged building, and facilitating also an accurate assessment of the earthquake impact. It was also possible to count buildings and assess the number of people and households affected. The second part was about studying the vulnerability by using a composite index with the calculation method of the composite index. So here, 3 aspects: demographic, socioeconomic, and infrastructure. And all this index was built according to the usual method with 3 steps: standardization, weighting, and aggregation. So about demographic aspects, we produced a map, as you can see, and we can see that most of these comments present a medium and moderate vulnerability, not high and not very high. And this ranking is due to the predominance of young populations in this area. And young population is also seen as, opportunities and challenges for vulnerability, because the segment of population, especially people under 60 years old, may bring considerable energy, considerable effort for the development and sustainability of the territories, but also they require specific investments, specific actions in terms of social and development in general, so we can ensure and achieve their inclusion, engagement in long-term reconstruction of the earthquake affected. The second part was about the socioeconomic aspects, as I said, about poverty, illiteracy, and we remark that for most of these comments, this vulnerability is above average, and rates of poverty, illiteracy, and employment, reach worrying levels and appeal for, urgent actions in this sense. But this complex reality raises additional challenges before or after the earthquake. So we can call, as I said, specific interventions, specific actions to create sustainable economic opportunities for everyone. About infrastructure, we were studying the connection for water and electricity. And it's remarkable to note that for most of these comments, the vulnerability is above average and also high vulnerability because we need specific intervention and specific action to achieve a sustainable development for these comments. And after the 3 steps, we were able to map a multidimensional vulnerability according to these 3 aspects: demographic, socioeconomic, and infrastructure. The third part, which is very relevant and perfectly suited for Morocco's urgent need for post-earthquake reconstruction. Here we proposed a synthesis between, a physical fact, which is the earthquake, and the fact that we studied, which is vulnerability. And we were able to overlay and superimpose the multidimensional vulnerability and the seismic intensity. And by naming these comments, we were able to stagger the degree and urgency of action, and how can we better manage the post-disaster period. So as conclusion, let me say that the present paper aimed to examine the post-disaster effect of El House earthquake to guide restructuring actions with this ultimate objective and ultimate target of serving decision support processes. So these findings suggest that socio-economic infrastructural structures need to be addressed differently so we can make those areas less vulnerable to shocks of this magnitude, especially in villages where isolation is not conducive to the development of those kind of employment generating activities and access rescue services. So here we are appealing for more urgent actions to be implemented. So what about the studies prospects? Morocco will be undergoing another general population census in the coming months. So we are thinking that it will be very appropriate to review and update the vulnerability of these earthquake-affected villages. So we will be able to compare this updated area over this decade, this 10 years decade, and assess how this earthquake disrupted, how this earthquake affected, the areas. So here we adopt a multi-criteria analysis, and we are, appeal decision makers to better prepared and develop comprehensive and sustainable reconstruction strategies that truly meet the needs of affected communities. That's all. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for the nice presentation. It's really very interesting. So before I go to my part of comments and a few insights, so any questions from the audiences, from the participants? All right. If not, it's a very interesting study, and by the fact that this is very relevant to the case, what's going on in Morocco in general when it comes to earthquake as a vulnerability, right? And definitely, since there was a recent earthquake last year, and that was the eye opener in terms of how we can understand more even now with this dynamics of earthquake happening and its impacts. And I was wondering, because again, this is very educational. Learning for every one of us to understand the situation down there. So when it comes to age group, as you said, the age group have certain vulnerability association. For instance, those who are, let's say, if we have a predominance of age group, those who belong to, let's say, plus 5 to 12, that means they are more vulnerable as opposed to if you have more population towards the part of 18 plus, right? And I was wondering, how's the population dynamics in terms of age groups in your study area? Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the according. Is there an issue? Okay. According data we had from the government institutions, it's about a population of age under 4 years old and population over 60 years old and under 60 years old. So yeah, there are more young people there, and more need to have specific facilities for them, specific interventions, specific actions, so we can achieve sustainable development before tackling the issue of post-disaster.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very good. And also, definitely, it's important to understand the strength of infrastructure, meaning that how we have in place, for instance, power infrastructure, definitely have water as one important component. And I was wondering if road could be, or transportation route could be one of your thoughts, perhaps, to understand what is the strength of the community when it comes to vulnerability, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we also noticed that distance to paved road, which is, I mean, a data provided by the government institution, it's very low. So for some towns, there is, I mean, big distance to have between a paved road and, I mean, this lockdown, which will be not good for them to achieve this, I mean, this post-disaster resilience and vulnerability.
Excellent. Again, this is for my education. I'm learning from you. That's why I'm asking questions. So everyone here, they can also take some insights on this study. And also, this is quite important that, as we go along, situation get changed, right? Your community perhaps be more stronger, or even some sort of challenges are there. So when it comes to dynamics of those index, meaning how often do you think we should have that index to be done? Every 5 years, 7 years, and so on? That could give us a better perspective that how resilient, for instance, the community is, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, every 5 years we do the study, it will be more relevant because, I mean, data change and population change and disasters maybe there were there. So yeah, the need is also to update this vulnerability index according to different, I mean, aspects and different events.
Excellent. So any questions from author perhaps? No? Okay. Great. I think we are almost done. There is one last presentation. I'm not sure if the authors are here online. So I was wondering if Mr. Bekzot Zanzakov or Bahadiron Safarov are here.
It looks like no.
No, they don't. Okay, right. So sure. So definitely, we have the paper for sure. We have also shared our feedback with them. So thank you so much once again, our colleagues and also authors of the paper to share your knowledge insights with us. They are very insightful and I would say very interesting. So let's continue the discussion, with this kind of ideas and thoughts on resiliency, vulnerability, and community strength in our personal talk as well. It's not in it itself. With that being said, I thank you very much for your contribution, for your time to take part in this session today, which is very valuable. And definitely ICCSA is a platform which is a kind of very interesting, I would say, foundation where you can get to meet all those researchers, in this area, and this will give you the chance to talk, as you go along. That being said, once again, thank you very much, and I wish you all good luck in your future endeavors. And bye from Henry here.
Thank you, Professor, for chairing the session. And regarding the no-show paper, you can signal in the platform that the authors did not show up. I will do it myself as well.
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And thank you again for your presentation. It was very nice and smooth.
Right.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone, and please take care. Bye from Hanoi, Vietnam.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.